I know you mentioned a lot of things, being able to have that 12-month time frame, being able to just take risks. Do you have any other recommendations for professionals that are either moving to Canada as a professional or joining in middle school or university, like a general advice you would like to give?
You've got a couple of things that you should focus on, and I would say this is for people starting school, whether it's middle school, university. This is for people working. Never be fearful of exploring different things, of
Yes.
challenging the status quo. I'd say have a strong set of guiding principles that would include the fact that you should always be doing what's right, principles that will push you towards learning, very important, and also principles of failing fast. Failure is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Embrace it, endorse it, be proud of your failures, and show them
Yeah.
as your badge of honors,
Yeah.
because honestly, they are what help you become who you are. So those are, I would say, very important things. And I'd also say lastly, what focus very much on having the right work ethic. I
Yeah.
always tell people to contrast yourselves with the different athletes we have. I'd start, since we're Pakistani, we should probably bring in Imran Khan in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know if you've heard of this, Azim. Have you heard of his Corner Tigers
Yeah.
piece? There you go.
Who hasn't heard of it?
That's it. That's it. That's it. So I would say take yourself as a corner tiger. You'll be surprised at the kind of results you're going to see.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the man, and he's done so much for us. Definitely, that's something that I think one should be getting inspired with. He brought us the World Cup, obviously, with the team. But the idea is it's that mindset, it's that mentality, which makes the biggest difference. Having, I would say, a tough mental mindset is extremely important. The other thing I'll say is if you look at the basketball players here,
Yeah.
people like Michael Jordan,
Right.
people like LeBron James, and a huge fan of Kobe Bryant, his Mamba mentality. So again,
Yeah.
if you don't know what that is, definitely research. I think when you bring that kind of a mindset to anything you do, you're going to do magic. So it's very important you do that. The last thing I'm also going to say is whether again you're in school or you're working, build your network. Meet people, do coffees. You'd be surprised at the doors they'll open. You'd be surprised at the way things change in your life. There was a colleague of mine back at PepsiCo, and we were doing a training. He'd been with Pepsi a number of years. He used to work with me, but from a separate team. He was now joining the team. So I gave him a training, spent an hour, 2 hours together. We're walking out of the room, and I had heard this comment my entire life. Why don't you become a consultant? You'd do so amazing.
Yeah.
And that day, this guy says this to me, and I had never paid attention to this, but I hear it from him. And that evening, I spent applying at the consulting firms. It's interesting how that person's words changed my life without him even knowing this today. So this is why I always tell people that when you meet people, you learn so much. And
Right.
sometimes be strategic with your coffees. You want to join Deloitte, maybe you meet with a lot more Deloitte people. But let's say if it's not even a person from Deloitte, this is maybe somebody who works at a circus, probably not something of interest. Still
Yeah.
go and connect with them, learn about their life, their decisions, why they do what they do. And you'd be surprised at you walking away and still getting inspired and learning something new. So make sure you build that network, tap that network when it comes to finding opportunities, and you'd be surprised, in fact, at how many things will come because of that network as well.
Exactly. And I guess the very last question here, we ask all the guests, like, how do you define success? What's your version of success in terms of just in general?
Very powerful questions, Azam.
Yep.
And I'm so happy because you're truly trying to inspire people in a very big way. So thank you very much for doing that. I'd say success really defines as number one, doing the right thing, but doing something that actually has an impact. What I really strive for, and this is something I live by, I would say live by principally, is that hopefully when I leave this world, I leave it a better place. Being someone who is in service to others is extremely important. To me, that is again success. And I always tell people, concept of servant leadership as an example. Mentoring, coaching, teaching, doing whatever you can, whether it's your time, it's your money, anything that you can do to help others is basically what success is. And frankly, that's what I have experienced in my life. That's what's brought me here. Obviously,
Yeah.
this wasn't, I would say, a one-man show. It never was.
Yeah.
And I would say that is what's going to contribute in your journey as well. So the idea for success really then is, being in service, doing the right thing, and always trying to impact people or the world in, I would say, the most positive or the most beneficial way.